Ever seen a house that looks like it came from another galaxy? Some homes don't just provide shelter, they tell stories, show character, and break every design rule in the book. From wildly weird shapes to unexpected materials, these houses make you stop and wonder. Whether tiny or massive, plain or outrageous, they prove that where you live can be just as original as you are. Here are now 15 most unbelievable houses in the world. Let's kick off things with number 15, the Helodome. No matter from which angle you look, the Helodome doesn't look like a house, it looks like a grounded spacecraft. But every angle of this tilted, solar-powered home was designed with a purpose. Built by cabinet maker Eric Wasser, the entire structure was engineered to track the sun's movement. In winter, it captures sunlight to warm the interior. In summer, the overhang blocks harsh rays to keep things cool. That means no AC, no furnace, just pure passive energy use. Inside, it's just as unique. Wasser personally built the furniture, laid out the rooms, and made sure the design reflected both functionality and artistry. Light pours into the house from every direction, and the curved layout feels almost sculptural. While it may not blend into the French countryside, the Helodome proves that environmentally responsible living doesn't have to be dull. It's a personal project, but also a message: we don't need to destroy nature to live well. We just have to build smarter, and that's exactly what this place does. Number 14, the Carrot House. It is one of the oddest structures you'll find in Poland and easily the narrowest house on Earth. It's so thin, it's practically wedged between two existing buildings, almost like they're keeping it from falling over. If you're thinking, how is that even a house? The answer lies in its vertical design, split into two floors, making the most out of its incredibly tight footprint. But here's the twist. You can't buy this place. It's owned by a nearby museum and reserved just for selected artists. At its slimmest point, it's just 3.02 feet wide. Even at its widest, it barely hits 4.99 feet. Still, it somehow fits a bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, study, and living area across its two levels. One wall faces a pre-World War II brick structure, while the other leans against a dull post-war concrete block, symbolizing Warsaw's layered past. Technically, it's not even considered a legal residence, more of a livable art piece, complete with retractable stairs and shared utilities. Number 13, the Toilet House. In South Korea, you'll find a structure that proudly lives up to its name, the Toilet House. And yes, it really does look like a giant toilet, but you can't use it. The design wasn't just a gimmick, it was built deliberately by architect Sim J-Duck to make a statement about sanitation. He wanted to raise awareness about the lack of proper hygiene standards in public restrooms, especially in developing areas. According to him, poor sanitation leads to nearly 2 million deaths a year due to exposure to bacteria and disease. The house features 2 bedrooms, 2 guest rooms, and 3 high-end bathrooms, all inside a structure made from steel, concrete, and glass. Its purpose wasn't just residential, it was meant to educate people on the importance of cleanliness, maintenance, and public health. Sim later became the head of the World Toilet Association, and the house itself was converted into a museum. It may seem humorous at first glance, but its message is serious and literally built into every wall. Number 12, the S House. The S House in Japan is another bold statement, but this one doesn't whisper, it screams. Instead of building a traditional home, the architect fused 2 overlapping structures into a single complex layout that resembles a layered puzzle. It's meant to capture how tangled and multi-layered modern life has become. Instead of hallways, there are staircases, terraces, and split levels that connect everything in unusual ways. The home follows a grid design, with alternating solid and open spaces that blur the line between function and form. The glass facade allows sunlight to pour in from all directions, while key private areas like the bedroom and bathroom are tucked safely on the sunken level. Though the house looks fully exposed, privacy is handled with deliberate precision. Built in 2013, the steel frame structure doesn't aim for comfort, it aims to be a physical representation of the networks and complexity that define life today. It's sharp, disorienting, and unforgettable, just like the Japanese world it reflects. Number 11. The Airplane House. Despite what the name might suggest, this house isn't made from an airplane, but it definitely looks like one. The Airplane House in Lebanon was designed by Michael Suleiman, who had an obsession with aircraft. As he got older, he decided to bring his fixation to life by constructing a home modeled after the Airbus A380. It's not a scaled-down version either. This house fully resembles a commercial jetliner. Ironically, Suleiman doesn't live there himself. It's actually owned by someone else who uses it as a summer home. What's even more surreal is that the house sits in a wealthy district filled with luxurious villas and mansions, yet none of them look anything like a parked plane. The windows, wings, and tail structure are all accounted for. It's not just a quirky design, it's a tribute to aviation, parked right in a high-end neighborhood. While other people show their passions with model kits, Suleiman built his fantasy at full scale. Number 10. The Dumpster House. When Jeff Wilson moved into a dumpster, it wasn't for shock value, it was his way of challenging the housing crisis. He wanted to understand how little space a person truly needs to live. That experience became the foundation for Casita, a company that builds compact, dumpster-sized homes packed with fancy stuff. These aren't rundown boxes, they're movable, tech-integrated micro-homes built to solve the affordability problem in cities. Each unit includes foldable furniture, voice-controlled appliances, and optimized layouts designed for functionality. They can be transported by crane and placed nearly anywhere, no full foundations needed. Wilson lived in one himself to push the limits and show others it's not only possible, it's livable. The homes are small, yes, but they represent a creative, sustainable, and tech-savvy solution to both urban crowding and housing shortages. They're not meant to replace standard homes, they're meant to rethink them. And Wilson's decision to live by this idea made it more than just a pitch. Number 9. The Dina House. If you thought the last house was eccentric, wait until you hear about this one. The Dina House was originally built by a group of teenagers back in 1968. While swimming in the Drina River, they kept getting tossed around by the current. Eventually, they climbed onto a large rock in the middle of the river to catch a break. What started as a makeshift resting spot slowly turned into something bigger. They hauled over wooden planks, made a floor, and eventually constructed an entire house. But nature wasn't having it. The river repeatedly destroyed their work over the years. Every time it collapsed, locals rebuilt it, stronger, sturdier, more resilient. What you see today isn't the original. It's one of several versions that stood in the same place. Over time, the Dina House became more than just a structure. It's now a symbol of persistence, childhood wonder, and local pride. And it stands firm, right in the middle of the rushing river, like it always belonged there. Number 8. The Nautilus House. You don't need to be a fan of sea creatures to appreciate the Nautilus House in Mexico. Designed by renowned architect Javier Senosier, this organic structure was created for a family who wanted something far from conventional, and they got exactly that. Inspired by the spiral form of a seashell, the entire house mimics the curves and flow of oceanic life. But it's not just about aesthetics. The structure is reinforced with ferrocement, making it resistant to earthquakes and extremely low maintenance. The interior is just as surreal as the outside, flowing pathways, stained glass, rounded walls, and rooms that feel sculpted instead of built. While it lacks large storage space, that wasn't the point. This home was designed to be a living experience, something immersive, playful, and completely outside the box. The family who commissioned it wanted more than shelter. They wanted a space that felt alive, like it was breathing with them. And that's exactly what this bizarre, beautiful house manages to do. Number 7. Portugal's Stonehouse. Known as the Castle of Stone, this house in Portugal is one of the most rugged and unusual dwellings ever built. It was designed in 1972 by an architect as a private retreat for a nearby family looking to unplug from modern life. The concept was simple: build something functional using just the essentials without electricity. Just raw stone, quiet surroundings, and minimal comforts. The house is built directly between 4 massive boulders which serve as natural walls and shelter. Over time, the place gained more attention than the family wanted. Visitors started showing up constantly to catch a glimpse, turning their quiet retreat into a roadside attraction. Eventually, they gave up on living there and moved out. Now it functions as a small museum. It may look like something out of a fantasy film, but it's very real and very isolated. For those who dream of total solitude in the wilderness, it's perfect, as long as the crowds don't follow you there. Number 6. Brunos Steel House. This steel house in Lubbock is part sculpture, part home, and all the work of one man, Robert Bruno. For 30 years, he welded this structure into existence by hand, refusing to compromise on his vision. The result is a huge steel form that's been described as everything from a mechanical creature to an alien spacecraft. Suspended on stilts above a rocky slope, it immediately grabs your attention. Bruno actually lived in the house while still building it, continuing to work on it right up until his death in 2008. After he passed away, the property was sold and the new owners announced plans to convert it into a rental property, essentially an Airbnb. That decision didn't sit well with Bruno's friends and supporters, who believed it violated the original spirit of the project. Whether or not it gets finished, the steel house remains one of the most visually striking and personally driven pieces of residential architecture ever created in the U.S. Number 5. The smaller apartment. Honestly, it's surprising we haven't seen something like this sooner. In China, a businessman living on the 18th floor of an apartment complex decided to completely cover his unit with trees and shrubs, not a few potted plants. We're talking about full-blown greenery surrounding the exterior. At first glance, it seemed quirky but harmless, until people realized he was using the vegetation to disguise unauthorized construction. He had begun secretly building extra floors on top of his apartment, hiding them under the canopy of plants. Why all the effort? Simple local zoning laws capped the number of floors he could legally build, so he used nature as a disguise to extend vertically. It nearly worked. Even after being exposed, the man almost got away with it due to his political connections. Eventually, an investigation was launched, and it was necessary. Engineers warned that adding more weight could have destabilized the entire building. What looked like a rooftop garden turned out to be a hidden construction site in the sky. Number 4. The Flintstone House. This home was originally built in 1976 as an experimental concrete project, designed around the idea that every surface, wall, and ceiling would be smooth, curved, and completely rounded. The design alone made it stand out, but when it was later painted orange and purple, people started calling it the Flintstone House. Located in Hillsborough, California, the home sparked controversy in the neighborhood almost immediately. While some residents tried to get it removed or changed, the house survived and even grew more outlandish. Over time, various owners added sculptures, odd decorations, and lawn ornaments, including dinosaurs, which only added to the chaos. The original creator, architect William Nicholson, had used rebar and wire mesh to shape the house, pouring layers of shotcrete over it to form its bulbous structure. Though it's been criticized for its eccentric look and bright colors, it's still standing, still occupied, and still raising eyebrows. Whether people love it or hate it, no one can say it's boring. Number 3. The Pie House. Located in Deerfield, Illinois, the Pie House is one of those homes that looks completely normal until you see it from the side. From certain angles, it appears razor thin, like it couldn't possibly be real. In fact, on one end, the house is only about 1 meter wide. Move around to the front or back and you'll see why it got its name. It's shaped exactly like a slice of pie. The unique layout came down to the odd shape of the lot it was built on. Instead of wasting the space, someone got creative. And despite the weird footprint, it's surprisingly livable. It features a finished basement, 2 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms stretched across a tall, narrow form. Its fame exploded after going viral on TikTok, where people couldn't stop gawking at its bizarre dimensions. It's a house that makes you do a double take, looking impossible from one side and perfectly normal from another. Form meets function in the most unexpected way. Number 2. The Crooked House. No, your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. The crooked house in Sopot, Poland really does look warped, bent, and melted. And yes, it was built that way on purpose. The design was inspired by surreal illustrations from children's storybooks, especially the fairy tale-like works of Jan Marcin Zancer and Per Dahlberg. From the outside, the entire structure looks like it's been distorted in a dream. But step inside, and you'll find it's completely normal. Offices, shops, and restaurants all function perfectly inside the weirdly shaped walls. What makes the building even more curious is the wall of fame that displays the names of every celebrity who's visited over the years, a strange but fitting touch for such a bizarre place. It may not be to everyone's taste, but it's instantly recognizable and unforgettable. The crooked house doesn't follow the rules of symmetry or balance, and that's exactly what makes it so magnetic. It's just amazing. Number 1. The Falling Waterhouse. The Falling Waterhouse wasn't just built in nature, it was built as part of nature. Designed by architect Frank Lloyd Wright, this iconic home was commissioned by the wealthy Kaufman family as a forest retreat in rural Pennsylvania. But instead of placing it near the waterfall on the property, Wright made the bold move to build it directly above the flowing water. The home literally stretches over a waterfall supported by stone and reinforced concrete. Materials like sandstone were sourced locally to blend the home with the surroundings. The result is one of the most celebrated works in American architecture. When the Kaufmans no longer used the property, it was handed over to the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, who now preserve it as a public site. The house remains open to visitors and continues to be praised for how seamlessly it merges with the natural landscape. It's not just a home, it's an architectural vision turned into reality. And it still holds that same power decades later. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.